I do not believe that the UN's image has been damaged because of its failure, what you refer to as its failure to deal with the war in Ukraine. The UN has done effectively what it has always done, which is to draw to the attention of the international community and to the public at large that the invasion launched by the Russian Federation into the sovereign territory of Ukraine constituted a violation of the Charter of the UN and of international law. The UN does not have the means and is not responsible for imposing a solution in any theater of conflict. What the UN does is to ensure that its values and principles, the founding principles of the Charter that gave this institution, this organization, life, that those principles are upheld, and where there are violations, to draw to the attention of the offending party that they are in violation of their obligations under international law. We've done that consistently. We continue to do it. And I will use this opportunity now to say to the Russian Federation yet again that you are in violation of your obligations under the Charter, and you need to withdraw your forces from the sovereign territory of Ukraine. I think it's more than possible because it's a decision. It's a decision to be made by the Russian leadership. And I have no doubt that they have the competence to make that decision. Whether they have the political will to do it, only time will tell. But they certainly have the competence, and the ball is in their court. They can determine the future. It is for them, and them only, to determine the future of their action. The biggest lesson is that all member states of the United Nations, all, without exception, need to abide by their obligations under the Charter and under international law. That is what makes for and creates international peace and stability. It is when member states violate their undertakings and their commitments under international law that conflicts and disputes arise. So the big takeaway is honor your obligations under the Charter, cooperate with other member states and with the UN in addressing the major pressing global issues of the day, which remains foundation questions for the United Nations. That's the reason, the raison d'etre for the United Nations having been formed, to promote international peace and security, to promote sustainable development everywhere in the world, in the global north and the south, and to promote and protect human rights. Well, Security Council reform has been an ongoing process at the United Nations. Let's be very clear on that. There is a process called the intergovernmental process. We have appointed very active co-facilitators in that process. The co-facilitators have been devoted a lot of time in consultations with member states. The reality is, however, that Security Council reform, and I must emphasize this, it is a process. It is not an event. So it is not likely, it's not credible to expect that that process will mature in the short term. It is going to take time because these are very delicate negotiations. It is going to take time and effort, but more than anything else, it needs to take some time because we have to be sure that we get it right. The effort to reform the Council needs to take account of the necessity to update the structure of the Council. And I should say in that regard that formal negotiations regarding reform have not yet been launched. There have been widespread consultations among member states. Member states now have a better understanding of each other's positions, but the formal process has not yet been launched. That will be a decision of the member states themselves in terms of the timing of the actual launch. Well, that too will be a matter of negotiations. The member states will decide whether they want to increase the number of permanent members or not. And if they increase the numbers of permanent members, whether all the members should have the veto or not. These are issues in the negotiations. So we must be careful not to preempt them, because it's a members-driven process, and at the end of the day, whatever formula is adopted will have to represent the consensus view of the members. So that's why I keep saying it's a process, it's not an event. It will take time. It will take time. I can't predict if it will take years, but I know that it will take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow morning because of the importance of the Security Council. And let me say this. Yes, we need a strong Security Council. There is absolutely no doubt about it. The system depends on it. But we also need a strong General Assembly, as indeed we do a strong ECOSOC. So, yes, Security Council reform is crucial, but wider UN reform is also necessary. Those processes are also on the way, because each of the organs of the UN has a crucial role to play in delivering on their mandate. Certainly, the General Assembly has been seeking to do that.